Hello and welcome to the Rhythm Changes podcast. I'm the creator of this show, Will Chernoff. I'm not the current host, Chris Fraser, and in all likelihood, Chris will be coming back to you with another episode of his own very soon. But I got the call to do something different here, which we haven't done before, which is record an episode in front of a live audience with an artist in residence at the 2026 Vancouver International Jazz Festival. Thank you to the Coastal Jazz and Blues Society and Tom Lee Music for allowing me to do this, for putting me and an artist on a stage at the Tom Lee Music Hall downtown to have a conversation in front of some people who turned out. Thank you for coming. I'm feeling very grateful to everyone at the moment, and I can't do justice in words for how fun it's been to be sharing these times with you during this festival. So without further ado, let's cut to the Tom Lee Music Hall, Vancouver right now. How are you guys feeling? You ready? All right. So this is a unique event. As far as I know, this hasn't happened before at the Vancouver International Jazz Festival. So there's something new every year here at the 41st Festival. We can still find new things to do. My name is Will Chernoff. I run rhythmchanges.ca, which is a website where I list all the jazz and related shows that happen in Metro Vancouver and in Calgary as well as of recently. But in Metro Vancouver, I've been doing that for a few years. There's about 200 shows that I put on this list every month, and that means there's pretty much something every day. So you're welcome to check that out at rhythmchanges.ca. One of the other things I did there was start a podcast. So there's over 100 episodes of that now. This is the first one that's ever been recorded for a live audience. Usually it's me in somebody's bedroom or in a rehearsal space, and there's not this element, so it's new for me as well. Yeah, come on in. There's no need to wait until the next song or anything. So
yeah,
it's all good.
Make sure that it's like in a huff so we all think you're mad.
It is a great honor to get the chance to do this and to be on a stage and to be hosted by Tom Lee in this back room and to do this at the festival with the artist whose music I've really enjoyed for the past 6 years or so. Since I think the first album I heard was Auto, and then there's another album called Viewfinder, which is related to a show that's coming up soon. And then, of course, their new self-titled album is out now. So let's give a huge hand and welcome Wendy Eisenberg. Wendy, how are you feeling right now?
I'm good. I'm excited to be at Tom Lee. I just bought an interface here.
Oh yeah, you did. You were telling me beforehand that this was on your wish list, that you need to find an interface.
Yeah, I was rocking an iRig and it just was it was bad. And I have all this time here. I'm so lucky to be one of the artists in residence here. And so I was just going to take the time at night if I'm not playing to write. And now I can record. So Thanks, Tom Lee.
Now, this is your first time in Vancouver, right?
Yes.
Okay, so there's a lot of exciting layers to that. Now, you pretty much just got here, and most of your Vancouver time is ahead of you, including all your music performances. But when did you actually get in? When did you get into town?
So we landed at 10:20. This is some real in the weeds type details that you didn't ask for exactly, but 10:20 p.m. And then I waited for my bags for an hour.
This is last night?
Yeah. And so I got in really to where I'm staying at like midnight. So I've really only been here for a moment.
Wow. Okay. So yes, it's all in front of you.
Yes, I can't wait. It looks great so far. I don't know.
We got people coming in? Come on in. Yeah, come on in. It's all good. Oh,
hey.
Hello.
Oh, toad.
Oh, look at that.
Wow. Thank you.
Co-artistic directors Cole Schmidt and Jeremy Fay just walked in, and Cole just handed Wendy a tote bag, branded festival tote bag. So I wanted to start with Substack because everybody talks about Substack these days.
Good to
I
know.
read in this month of June, you published a Substack called Changing a Life, where you talked about the impact that releasing this self-titled album has had on your career. I don't know how much you want to get into what you wrote there, but I found it moving how you described, how things can feel like they all level up at once, or how across many different projects, you have a sense of where you're at, and then sometimes something arrives and your sense of where you're at gets redefined. So is there anything you just want to talk about this season, now that this album has come out? Since it came out to now, like, how do you feel like things have moved for you or changed for you?
I mean, I said it much more eloquently there because I was...
You can go read it.
Because I had practice, meaning I sat there and edited sort of what I was saying. But For those of you who is probably all of you who didn't read it, yeah, I mean, the way I've been trying to understand the last 3 months of my life has been as though I was beamed up by a brilliant light and then put back down just 2 centimeters over. So everything looks the same, but I'm seeing it like I'm seeing the dust that is around a certain corner, and I'm seeing the world from just like so differently a perspective, but it's so close that I feel as though I shouldn't see it as differently as it is. And so it's been a trip. And just to make things a little bit less oblique and more straightforward, if I can try to do that, which is not my forte. Basically, the record did better than I kind of thought it ever would do, or any of my music would. I'm going to use the verb, past tense verb, resign. Like I'd resign myself to a certain kind of life, which is I'll make music for people who really want to seek out weird music and kind of do it to amuse myself. And this record broke containment, so like a bunch of people who I don't know very well have been listening to it and making little like vlogs about it and stuff. And it's like, I have like a listener count that doesn't put me in a shame spiral. Actually it does, but in a different way. Just like things have kind of just blossomed in a way that I both didn't expect and didn't prepare to expect. And it kind of renders my world, which was a very consistent one, where they'll ignore me and then they'll pay attention to me for when the record comes out, and then they'll trust that I'm working on something if they care, which more and more it's snowballed. I'm lucky to be on a stage now. Do you know what I mean? But I just didn't expect it to go this far. And so it's been a complete like identity shift. Like, I'm now a person that like random TikTok people say in their TikTok voice. And so that's just it's a huge honor. I mean, it's amazing to know that something I've made can resonate with so many people, especially because it's so personal, but it's also like, whoa, hi. It's like they lifted up a bug or they lifted up a rock and I'm just like a bug under it being like, hey.
Was there one moment in the release cycle where you feel like this happened, or did you just kind of add it up when you looked at it in June and you realized, oh my gosh, we're in a different place?
It was, I'm really bad at Substack in a certain way because like I'll just take months off or whatever. But I think when I got the cover for The Wire, I was like, that's different.
Yeah.
Wow. I never thought I'd be on the cover of a magazine that isn't a zine, so that was a little surreal. But then the day that I really knew that it shifted was when I got the Pitchfork review, and I like fell over because I was just like, this feels like if it was 10 years ago, this means that I would be opening for like Grizzly Bear or something.
Best new music, right?
Yeah. Which like if you're not totally rotted by institutional music criticism and stuff, like
hopefully none of you are.
Yeah. If you're mentally well, that should mean almost nothing to you. But for me, it means that I have a lot more meetings now. So
yeah,
I hope that's clear.
I want to talk about the people around you on this record and in this music. And I think I want to start with, in writing about music here in Vancouver and interviewing people, way back in 2022, I came across somebody whose music I'd never heard of before. It was via a local guitar legend here, Gordon Gardina. And he brought somebody to play with him named Trevor Dunn. And I never heard of him before. And I went to go hear the Gordon Gardina trio with Trevor Dunn and Kenton Lowen. And thereafter, I found what I think is kind of influential band on you, Trio Convulsant.
Yeah.
Trevor Dunn's Trio Convulsant. And Trevor plays on the album Wendy Eisenberg by Wendy Eisenberg. So maybe we could run down the people. Let's start with Trevor Dunn. Can you talk about making music with Trevor and what that's like?
Yeah, I mean, Trevor's in a band called Mr. Bungle that I've been listening to since 6th grade. So it's insane that we're in a band. I can't believe he wants to play with me because he's cool. And to him, I'm a child. And it's amazing that he actually does want to, which is kind of crazy. But he's amazing because he does something that everybody that's in my closest music community does now, but which I always sought out, which is a musician that can go from playing heavy rock music to experimental, I guess, free jazz or whatever, creative music, but also can play straight ahead, but also can do totally fried songwriter stuff. And yeah, he's just like kind of a model for that. And I had a friend who was a huge prog fan in 6th grade, which is how I knew about him and how I knew about that band, and also kind of why I am the way that I am today. And he showed me Trevor Dunn's Trio Convulsant then, which is like a really early time to be listening to it. And I had to kind of like tell him about how much I loved it at one point, and it felt sort of like intimidating. Like, I've been listening to you since I was a child. But anyway, he's a total ripper. And if you listen to any of his projects, he's always a standout. So like I play, when I write songs, I like to play my own bass on them because I'm a loner. Like, I like to talk to people, but I'm a loner at heart. And then whenever he's playing on my songs, it's so much better than what I do. And it's taught me so much about how to approach the bass. So he rocks.
That's so cool. I can't imagine. It's so cool to discover that music in sixth grade or whatnot. I took until, finding out about him through Gord, because I took a while to get around to more improv based stuff because, and you have a bit of this too in your background, I think, but I came up only knowing about the straight ahead scene and like the people here who played in the straight ahead scene. And, I'm a product of my high school music program, and I learned through that. And it took me until I had a chance to interview people regularly and talk to them. And then it's like, oh, wow, there's this whole other group of people that I never knew about, and they're super cool. And so it's been only in the last couple of years that I heard about that. But I remember I found your music around auto time because I read Joshua Min-Soo Kim. And it's in written form. This is on Joshua's publication called Tone Glow. And you've recently been on now in this album cycle. You did another interview with Joshua, but it's like you must have spoken on a phone call or Zoom call or something. This is back in 2020, and it's published in written form, but it's like a close to verbatim transcription of what you talked about. It is the most touching music interview ever. I'm going to link to it in the show notes of this episode. You have to check this out. The 2021 in particular. This was right when I started doing rhythm changes at the very beginning. It inspired me so much to hear that conversation between you two, and then I listened to Otto, and then I listened to your music ever since. So hey, there's not all of music criticism is brain rot. That's the bottom line here.
I think it's the rating that is tough, but yeah, Josh doesn't. Well, he did that at that point of Tone Glow.
I guess so, yeah.
But no, his interviews are really expansive. They're genuinely wild. Not just mine. I haven't read mine.
Do you listen to your own stuff, or do you avoid listening to your own stuff?
It depends on if I felt funny about the interview.
Okay.
And then if I felt funny in one way, I won't.
Because you've been on a lot of podcasts for this album cycle too.
I don't know why people like to hear me talk so much, but they do. And it's for them. Yeah.
What about your own music? Are you a person who avoids listening back to your own music, or do you, you have to in various situations, right? But how do you feel about that?
It really depends on where in the writing cycle I am. So,
interesting.
So if I'm like really inspired by, like for the self-titled record, it's really informed by people like Joanna Newsom and the Mekons and Richard Dawson. And I found that the more I listened to them as I was making the record, like recording it and everything, the more guarded I felt about my own approach. So I actually had to go and listen to older music of my own so I could just be like, no, that's actually how I sound, to kind of get out of the way of a certain, let's just call it like listening dysmorphia or something. Where it's like,
okay, that's a good phrase.
Because like I have this problem that I think is funny, and maybe you guys share it too. I'm not sure, but I'll think like I'll be doing an impression of somebody like singing like them or something in the shower, and I think I've totally nailed it, but like I've only really got the phrasing, if that. And like in my brain, like my voice is completely like, oh yeah, I just sound exactly like Willie Nelson right now, which is like completely impossible, but I like absolutely think that. And if I'm listening too much to the artist that I really love, I'll start to, there's like this comparative impulse that happens, and I'm like, oh, I don't really sound anything like Willie Nelson, even though maybe like in the harmony, but obviously I can't. We have a different anatomy, at least.
For sure.
So yeah, like when I need to get a lock on what I actually sound like, I'll listen because I'm proud of what I do. But if I'm trying to stay positive in the world, I want to listen to other people's music because it's so inspiring.
That's super great though, because yeah, you have nuanced feelings about it. You're not like, oh, I never want to hear my own stuff, and you're not like, I listen to my own stuff all the time, which would be super weird. But you have a nuanced view about it all.
Well, yeah, I mean, the other thing is I have most of the follow-up songs record kind of written, as far as I know.
Okay.
Like I don't know when I'm recording it, but I have enough songs to make a record that I'd be really happy with, and so I keep listening to those over and over again now, just to be like, when would this go, or like, how do I want to produce it? And that's the only other time that I'm like hardcore listening to my own work. It's usually just to figure out how to best communicate the things that I like about it. But then again, sometimes I get my own song stuck in my head, and I'm like vain and shameless enough to be like, that's a good song, I'm going to listen to it.
Same, I'll own up to that.
It's like a couple times a year maximum.
That's a good tie-in about mentioning you've already written like a lot of your next material, because as far as I understand it, the self-titled album, these songs, it's predominantly self-produced, and you've got a workflow where you produce music with your partner who performs as Maurice.
Yeah.
And you've made a lot of music together, and Maury mixed the album too, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering about that. I don't have any relationship in my life that's like that. To me, it seems very special. And if you've already written a lot of the songs, but you're like, oh, I'm not ready to produce them yet, like, I guess what I'm wondering is, how do you draw the line if it's right there at home and you could do it at any time? Or like, how do you know when you're going to be ready to do that? Like, how do things like that happen for you because of how unique this relationship is, and how it's right there at home and you could produce it at any time, and you can because you made this amazing record doing it that way. But how does that work?
Well, we're both really busy people, so it's usually we can't do it.
You don't have time, yeah.
So we get to backlog a bunch of hopefully cool ideas. It's also very surreal. We both have that same mug, and that's, it was like not the Pokemon.
Do you have any Pokemon on yours?
No, I have a sticker on it that says "I love Van Dyke Parks."
Okay, nice. Yeah, we got to get these Yetis. Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really surreal to hear you talk about her and then to see her mug.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, I mean, I think like the other thing that's great, I didn't even say a single thing that's great about dating her and everything, but it's incredible to have somebody that lives with you that you can wake up and say, hey, I really like how this was produced. How did they do that? And then she'll be like, I actually genuinely don't know. Let's listen to it. And then we'll put it on as we're making breakfast and be like, I didn't expect there to be that musical saw thing way in the back. Or like, What is it? Just like a layered mandolin? Like, we're just really doing this kind of deep interrogation of how like the music that we're into at any given moment works, because we're lucky enough to have the same language as each other for it, or at least close enough that our fights are generative about it.
That's a great phrase. Fights are generative. That's what you want. Something to aspire for.
Well, the thing is, she's coming way more from an ambient music kind of, she doesn't even, I mean, I hate to be speaking for her because everything is more nuanced and she's pretty encyclopedic, but she's coming from an experimental electroacoustic kind of place a lot of the time. And I'm really not. Like, I make that music, but I really am just a guitar player, So sometimes she'll put on something and it's just like sounding glitchy in her way. And I'm like so jealous I can't make that it's like hard for me to listen to. And then I'm like, oh no, I'm getting jealous about something I can't do, which is a very childlike feeling. And then I feel really like bad listening to it. And then I'll be listening to like classic rock or whatever meathead stuff I like. And she's just like, why aren't we listening to anything like sexy and girly and fun and stuff? And so like we'll have these aesthetic fights, but usually it's towards the spirit of trying to figure out how they work. And part of the reason that we can't just like produce every night is like, well, for one, we're way overworked, and the other one is it's, you never know when you're going to find like exactly the right music that's going to tell you how a song needs to be produced. And both of us are going through a really heavy Modest Mouse phase right now, and figuring out like the shift from Lonesome Crowded West to the Moon in Antarctica, and seeing how they like experimented with the studio. We're like, how do we do that with these songs?
Wow, I don't know my Modest Mouse. This is going over my head. I'm going to have homework after this.
I mean, they're exceptional. Isaac Brock is a captivating figure and a just dynamite lyricist.
Yeah. I mean, the latest Maurice album is also really cool. There's a recent album there.
Yeah.
There's also a recent album by, you have a duo that to me is like duo side project, I was going to say, but you have a duo project, Wait,
Yes.
Whait.
Wait.
Also new album, Icarus in Training.
Yeah.
Right? But the previous Wait, Close Quarters,
Yeah.
that was when I found that was one of my favorite things. That was one of the experiences I've had recently where when I heard something, I was like, I need to make music like this right now, or I need to figure out how to make music like this right now. Close Quarters by Wait. It just hit me like that. I love that so much.
That means so much to me. Thank you for letting it touch you.
I just want to only make music like that forever and ever.
Luckily, it's just one long tune, so you only need one song per set.
Yeah. There's so many records flying around here, right? It's like your self-titled one. We got new Maurice. We've got new Wait. We have recent Editrix as well.
Oh yeah.
Right? Welcome. Oh, hello. How's it going, Sean? It's all good.
I loved your entrance.
How's
Hi.
everybody doing out there? You doing all right? How many musicians we got? Raise your hand, musicians. Just under half, maybe.
We've got some like nervous hands. You can own up to it.
Of the musicians, how many guitarists? Wow. Okay, so almost 100% of the people who raise their hands for musicians are guitarists. That makes sense. John is a saxophonist, so we're not 100% guitarists. Okay, let's round out the main bandmates on the record.
Yes.
I've done over 100 episodes of this show. I have my go-to topics, my go-to things. One of them is longtime collaborators, because longtime collaborators mean so much to me.
Yeah. Me too.
The longtime collaborators in my musical life means everything to me, and you've got one in drummer Ryan Sawyer. So
my
I don't know where
bestie.
you want to talk, but just talk about making music with. Also, as new music coming, there's the records continues, right?
Yeah. Well, so Ryan seems like a lofty claim to say this, but Ryan absolutely changed my life. I was a fan of his because he was on the first At the Drive-In record, and he was hilariously on the Scarlett Johansson, like Tom Waits cover record, which is kind of a singular.
I don't know about this.
It's produced by the guy Dave Sitek from TV on the Radio, and it's like pretty intense. I shouldn't say anything bad on a podcast, so I'll just leave it at that. But it is worth a listen because it's kind of a fascinating document of like, I don't know, indie sleaze or something. Well, anyway, but yeah, so he's also in Gang Gang Dance, and he's played with Valerie June, and he's just kind of a genius that is always playing amazing music, Tall Furs, everything. So I had a dream before I actually played with him that we were playing together, and I never really have that with anybody where I'm like dreaming a collaboration into reality, and especially a non-romantic reality.
I just want to make sure I got that, because so you had a dream before you had ever played together, that you were going to play together.
Yeah, and I messaged him, and I was just like, I had this dream. Do you want to like play a session? And we played, and he's like, I don't know if he's ever played one of the shows from Coastal Jazz or anything, but he's a very, very special person, and kind of doesn't talk like anybody else. And my friends have said that same. And so when we got together, I was just like, oh, you're like maybe even stranger than me. And also you're dealing with the same general musical problem, which is how can you make songs feel like they're being improvised as they're being performed? And how do you make improvisation have the resonance of a song? And like, those are two ends of a spectrum. Like, how do you kind of traverse that? And so playing with him has offered me just an unbelievably inspiring and safe place to just be solving that. And it's different every time. And he's in my band, and sometimes I'll play in his shaker ensemble, but we also have a duo project where we do a lot of covers, and we're covering like, I don't know, Will Oldham songs and stuff. And it's a whole. We're just thinking.
It's a whole hole.
It's a whole. We're just thinking about like, why is it that the best and most affecting free improvisation performances have the same feeling that you get when you hear a song for the first time that describes your life to you? And how do you perform those songs as if you're freely improvising them or in that same kind of psychic space? And so the work that we do together is almost unspeakably deep. And the fact that he gets to play my more normal kind of songs music with me is kind of perverse and hilarious, because usually we're dealing with work that's just super arcane and intimate. He's my best friend.
Wow.
Yeah.
There's two things I really super respect about you from this conversation and from other conversations I've heard is you're one of those people that has an endless vocabulary, which is, I love. I love to hear that. And to me, it seems like you have been very thoughtful about your own process, and you understand it. Probably doesn't always feel like you understand yourself, but you present that you understand yourself and your own process.
I would say a gift that in my life that's also like a kind of mythic tragedy is that I can sound so authoritative and not know how it feels to like I don't feel as authoritative as I speak. And it's a cool lonely gift. Like being it's if Cassandra was wrong about herself. I don't know. I'm kind of riffing here.
That's
but
great.
Words are probably more fun to me than music even, so
So let's talk about touring. So you've been touring for a little bit. Can I ask you, I saw this on your stories at one point, can I ask you about one particular show?
Oh my gosh.
Can I ask you about the Generator show?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Tell everybody about the Generator show.
Okay, so Mari and I, Mari is Maurice, my partner, and we're going to Chicago to begin a West Coast tour, but I had to cancel it because of a family emergency. And so we kept the Chicago one because I could do that and then come back home. We were kind of nervous to do a fly-in. We had all this gear and stuff for like one night, and it just felt like, okay, well, let's go. And neither of us had played at a venue like headlining that was quite so big. I mean, it's the Empty Bottle, which is, it's not a stadium, but both of us are used to being on the opening slot, if you kind of know what I mean. But anyway, so we get there and we hear that there's going to be bad weather. And there is, but it's only for like 20 minutes of just horrendous rain. And a tree in the neighborhood where we're playing gets knocked over, and like the transformer for 2 blocks of the neighborhood is just cut. And so the entire power for these 2 blocks is out. And we're like, damn it, we don't live here. We can't really figure it out. So I think my manager sees it and messages our friend Eli Winter, a great guitar player who's probably played around here. And he hooks us up with his friend Eli Schmidt, who is maybe they are also a guitar player. But yeah, they bring over a generator, and we just commenced to have the show in the Chicago heat with candles, and we have like a PA that they set up, and we just a lot of people came out and lent us their acoustic gear, and there's a free jazz trio that opened that was just really spectacular, and it felt kind of apocalypse style. And I really want to give just special credit to Mari, because her set was going to be really deeply electronics heavy, and she was like, that's going to suck up all the power from the generator. You can't really charge it at the venue, so you have to be really considerate about it. And she and I just like hung out in the back room and rearranged everything so it could be on violin and acoustic guitar. And it was probably, also the Knicks one, which was
that makes the vibes better.
She was pretty bummed. She's a Spurs fan, but yeah, like it was
okay.
Yeah, but it was just like a really magic night though, because we're not from Chicago, and our link to the city there is tenuous but friendly. Not tenuous in a stressed way, but in a like we just travel through it and we don't go to other people's shows because we don't live there. And to see the community nevertheless show up and help us out and make this kind of singular event feel so special. Both of us are struggling with burnout from doing so much music and trying to make sure that we're making an honest expression whenever we're invited to play with people. And so to know that people would show up in a way that was so special and so rare, it genuinely put the wind back into our sails and made dealing with the family stuff back home even better, because we knew that, I don't know, miracles like that could happen through the strength of community. It
was like a really tangible example of like collective problem solving right in the moment. It gives you some gas to feel like that stuff is possible. Yeah.
And what's cool is, like I'm a hot-headed person. Like I'm an impatient guy, but I don't think I was worried for a second about that show.
Yeah.
I just knew, I don't know what it was that helped me know that, because I'm bad at knowing that in my real life, but I was just like, yeah, this is fine. This is good. Everybody cares. Everybody understands.
Well, it was memorable enough for me to just watch it on your Instagram stories. So,
yeah. It was also cool because we've been working on a secret like side project of just like really weird Ween covers, and we got to do 2 of them.
Okay. There's layers to this stuff. Then you also mentioned at some point it's like the Meathead stuff that you like to listen to, and then there's the Ween covers projects. Like
we just love music. Layers. And we only have one life that we know of, so we're just trying to play as much fried music as possible.
Just embrace it all.
Yeah.
Embrace it all while you can.
Yes.
How long has the touring been like around that? Like how many you've either opened for or shared bills with different other bands too on like over the last several months after this album came out, right? You've been touring a lot.
Yeah, I had a 2.5 week solo tour like completely alone in March before and a little bit after the record. And then we were opening up as a trio because Trevor was otherwise occupied up to Montreal with my new band Believe.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's just been like all these different kind of things that have been calling our attention and making us go out of the house, which, as I'm sure you're gathering, we love being in the house making music. So we're kind of like, oh, hey world. That said, I'm really happy to be here. Thank you.
What does it mean to you for someone to be ahead?
Great question. I'm not trying to be coy, but I want you to say what you think first.
About what I think it means for somebody to be ahead?
Yeah.
I think it means you show up but like you have to show up with a sense of what you're interested in. And so, there's some homework to do, I guess, but you're figuring out, you're cultivating what you're interested in beforehand, and then you're showing up to those things. And sometimes you need help finding those things, but sometimes once you find them, then you know where they're happening because it's in a pretty small thing. So maybe I would describe it as like that 2-step. I'd be like, you got to figure out on your own what you're interested in, then you got to show up to what you're interested in as often as you can, and that's being ahead. That's how I would define it. What about you?
That's head praxis. I like it. For me, it's like, I think ahead is somebody that's so in touch with what it is that they want to hear that they are trying to find it in as many counterintuitive places as possible. And that means live, like what you're saying, where it's like, if you're ahead, you want to see what's happening in the community that will make you feel that feeling, that indescribable thing that makes you love music anyway, and that you're searching for in the music that feels the most honest to you. But I think ahead is somebody that also, I don't know, being ahead to me has something to do with independent research in music, and not in an academic way, but in a, wow, the drums on this are ridiculous. They're kind of even more emotional. They're bringing out something in me that stands apart from other aspects of the orchestration.
You need to be able to notice details.
And then say, not just, wow, that drummer rips, but hey, where else can they play? And it's made easier from the internet, but headsmanship has been going on for centuries. Yeah.
That's an episode title right there.
I keep thinking about it. I mean, I'm actually creating, I'm a professor at the New School, and I'm creating a class next semester called How to Be Ahead, because I actually don't know. And I want to ask my students what they think it is. And the idea is that like we co-create a definition of it. And I really love that yours is so situated in what you do, which is letting people know what's happening. And I think heads are people that, I mean, some of them gatekeep for sure. But I think like the true head, and like my own estimation of the value here, is somebody that's like, I want to find out what that drummer did. So then when I'm listening to another drummer, I could say, hey, this guy's doing something that you're doing with your ride cymbal, and it makes me feel an unbelievable sense of lightness. Do you like him? And it's like ahead of somebody that wants to have the most detailed conversation about what they love. And when you want to have a detailed conversation about what you love, you kind of got to research it, and you definitely have to show up.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you can't just talk about it if you don't know. So yeah, we both emphasize that there's the part that you do first on your own, right? Then you show up.
Yeah. It's a creation of a kind of history, because I feel like a lot of heads, like a lot of music heads in my world, they have a really deep knowledge of dub music, but none of them came up in dub communities, for example. And that's just one thing. And maybe they got there because of this heat, or maybe they got there because they saw a really cool poster on the side of the road, or whatever it is. But something piqued their interest, and the mark of a head is somebody who wants to like go down that rabbit hole.
So it doesn't really matter how you got there. It matters what you do with it.
Exactly. Just like everything else.
So it's an ongoing practice. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you co-create. It doesn't have to be a canon. Like, I often feel in my group of friends that I'm like the least adequate head, because Mari knows everything and Ryan's a DJ, so he knows everything else. And I'm just a guy who likes to read, so it's different. But yeah, I mean, I think that, Ryan's ahead of like specifically DJ centric tracks a lot of the time. He knows other stuff, but like when you want to have a good time, like his head orientation is like towards like making people dance. And Mari's, who knows what it's towards. Like she's like a completely space alien type person and likes the most insane music ever, but both of them really love dub, and both of the things they love about it are informed by how they got there. But it's kind of like, I don't know. Everyone has specialties. Your knowledge has to be limited, but not forever.
Because if you're going to go deep, you can't go deep on everything.
Yeah, you can try too.
You can try, yeah.
And what's funny is there are like genuine canons like for different heads. Like I think every type of rock head has some relationship with like the band This Heat. And This Heat is a band that seems like they're comprised entirely of heads, and they're heads of dub and free jazz and art rock or whatever. Like it's a broader thing because, if you like music, it's very rare to only like one kind of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like the head thing, it's kind of like you're not necessarily only advertising straight ahead jazz shows. There's going to be other stuff that sneaks its way in there. And pretty soon you have your own kind of like, you're just creating a micro society that's ever expansive.
Yeah.
And that's how it feels to kind of love anything, to just be like, wait a minute, I love jazz, but what's happening over here with Eric Dolphy? Or like, what's happening over here with Andrew Hill? Or like, why is this person playing on this Van Morrison record when they're a jazz bassist? Or
I was going to say
whatever.
there's like AACM oriented heads. That's a whole school maybe. Yeah.
Maybe that's their central focus.
Yeah.
But then, musicians are, we're easily bored and we're easily intrigued, and probably we're not just going to do that. And, there's entire secret lives you can have. Like Editrix to me is not a secret, but I think to people who know my gentle songs now, they don't know that I'm in this like kind of thrashy art punk band. And
that being Editrix, the Big E is the recent album. That's the name of the album. It's great.
And it's cool because I think every musician, like everyone that's really made a professional or professional adjacent, I don't know what professional musician really is, but
right.
Anyone who's made a life in music is probably not just doing one thing, or at least the people that I'm interested in tend to be pretty broad. Yeah.
I love when we were setting up, you talked about you actually hadn't put your guitar on the stand yet, but you mentioned the amp, and you called it Chekhov's amp. Like there's another vocabulary thing. You called it Chekhov's amp, like Chekhov's gun, the gun that doesn't fire, and you wonder whether or not it's going to, or it has to. Metaphorically speaking, it has to fire by the end of the story, and so that's what you called this. So can we fire Chekhov's amp? You think it's going to happen today? How are you feeling?
Yeah. I mean, if maybe at the very end when you. Yeah. I love firing a, linguistic gun, a literary gun, really. Yeah. But yes, absolutely. Is now the time?
I don't know. That's a good question. How's everybody doing? We still got a little bit of time. Everybody's doing all right? Yeah.
Play.
I guess so. There you go. There's the answer.
Okay.
Could be that time. Yeah, because then maybe after that, there's a chance to maybe get some audience questions or something too, if there's a desire for that. So you could leave the window open for that, and that kind of rounds it out.
That's very classy. Okay. Well, wow. What am I supposed to play?
I know. The run of show here is kind of a unique weirdness, but I appreciate you rolling with it with me. What kind of guitar is this for the people?
Oh, yeah.
What kind of guitar is this?
Yeah, because many of you are guitar players, right?
Yeah.
This is a Jazzmaster from 1994 that I've had since I was 12. And I don't know. You could ask questions about that.
To me, Jazzmaster seems like a whole state of mind.
Yeah, it's cool, though, because I was 12, so I didn't choose that.
Yeah, of course.
So it's kind of like a state of mind that was enforced upon me by the fact that my cousin was a collector and he passed away, and he left these for us to deal with and like to try to sell or whatever. And and I ended up with this guy, which I liked because it was yellow.
It's
and
a great color.
Thank you. I mean, I look at it so much that I'm like, why is it yellow?
It's like looking at a word so many times and you're like, what is this word?
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe I'll play a new one. Or I've been playing it like this spring a lot, but I wrote it kind of last year in honor of Susan Alcorn. Do you guys know who she is? So if you don't, she's a really just an unbelievable pedal steel player and a huge inspiration in at least like seems like the entire East Coast at the very least, kind of a master. And she passed away kind of surprisingly and devastated everybody. And I wrote this song to try to deal with the grief of that because we weren't especially close, but she changed my life, Hey, you're back.
Hello.
And yeah, I don't know. Just making sure it's in tune. Okay. There is a sadness at the core of all belonging, reminding you what you left behind that brought you near. You don't want to feel it. You wouldn't believe it if you still it finds a way to visit. Grew up in one world. Off it went, I'll gone living, reminded of what I leave behind. I stayed here. You don't want to leave. And it only finds you when you've given up. Memories are drifting, disappearing swiftly out of view. Living is a constant. Everybody does it, even you. Make it when I'm winning, hoping what I'm singing isn't true. Doubting is a constant. Everybody does it, even you. There is a virtue in complete and utter focus. Your soul in the world you cannot help but leave it behind. You don't want to leave that sobering call from another world.
Wendy Eisenberg, everybody.
I hope you could hear everything.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you say
Thank you.
again on the mic for the record what song that the people who are listening later may or may not be able to hear, but can you tell them again what it was?
Amazingly, it doesn't have a title, but I've just been calling it Susan.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm
Dedicated
trying to keep it really live. You know what I
Susan
mean?
Alcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate you
Thanks.
playing for the people. Okay, so I don't know what the appetite is for audience questions. We definitely want to make space for audience questions now. I'm pretty sure we could all hear each other vocally in this room, but if you would like, there is a mic that we could run out to people. But I'm wondering, Sky is on hand. Sky is the stage manager here who's making this possible. Everybody give a hand to Sky.
We love Sky.
What questions do you folks have for Wendy? I will try and pick, in the event of multiple hands at the same time, I'll try and pick whoever by my eyes was first, and then we can go from there. But if anybody would like to ask Wendy a question, show of hands, and I'll call on you. Could do as many or as few as there are. Got one there. Got the mic.
Hello. Wow.
Hello.
I have a mic hooked on. That's amplified.
Powerful.
Thanks you guys so much. It was such a great conversation to listen to. I was wondering, Wendy, if you could just talk about like your early influences, and I'm interested how you got into playing more like free improvised music specifically, if you have any entry points or just early entry points into that.
Wonderful question. Enviable microphone.
That's so powerful.
You are. Okay. So that same Prague fan, if you were here for that part, was like a huge Zorn head. So I heard him when I was in like 6th grade. And specifically, I heard Naked City. And knowing about the Naked City people and also Trio Convulsants, kind of like, it's composed, but there's lots of free moments in it. So those two things were some of the earliest things that I understood to be like improvisation. And then I was, at the time, because this was middle school, which is crazy. I was in like a after school kind of jazz program. Because I asked my parents if I could do that, because I was just like, how do they make that possible? How are they doing any of that? And I still, when I listen to specifically, when I listen to all of that music, I'm like, still, how are they doing that? And what's kind of the best thing about free improvisation, which I didn't know then, and I kind of know now, is that most musicians kind of can't answer it, and I was interested, and I'm only verbalizing this now from my current perspective as like way more of an adult than I was back then, but not by much. I was thinking like, I want to have a process that I can't explain. Because, what could be more seductive than like being the bearer of a mystery? It's so cool. So those were my two kind of entry points. And also that same guy really got me into King Crimson. And there isn't the hugest like free improv link with them, but there is something kind of like, if you're into Fripp, you're probably going to follow other kind of trippy guitar things. And he was really major for me. And actually part of the reason why I'm writing these, I don't think formally they're conventional, but I think they're much more conventionally pleasant type songs now, is because of Fripp's work on the Roaches record, the first one, where you can just kind of hear the guitar intermingling with like pretty perfect folk songs. But as far as other earlier influences with specifically free improvisation, I had a really rough jazz teacher, like it happens, but when I was young, so when I was in the after school kind of jazz program and stuff, he was really interested in kind of the musicians who would play in and around Joni Mitchell's like more jazz kind of phase sphere. And so kind of getting into that, forgive me, but kind of cocaine-y sounding era of jazz, like that was really big. And I was like, well, what else were they doing at the time? And I got really into Circle. That was really big for me, which obviously got me into Braxton. And for a long time, Braxton was my guy. And specifically when I was playing like kind of more punk influenced music, I still do this, but in my kind of grad school band Birthing Hips, my point of view is to sound like Greg Ginn meets Anthony Braxton. And so I was always trying to find these kind of like fissures between the free improvisation that's coming out of and around jazz and jazz instrumentation and whatever, but also the kind of improvisation that happens in more like iconic punk contexts. So it's just also, when I was in high school, I got really into later period Coltrane, and that was like obviously a perfect gateway because his taste in free improvisation, because he's a perfect improviser. If you could say that anybody is, he's probably that. Loving him taught me about Eiler, taught me about so many other luminaries. He's kind of like Kurt Cobain in a weird way, where it's like you read any interview with him and he's talking about exactly who you should be listening to also, even though people just want to make him about that one more conventional thing that usually he was further beyond anyway. So I hope that's in any way helpful. Yeah. But thanks for the question.
We could do one or two more questions for sure if there are any others.
I'll answer anything, I promise. Yeah.
Can you talk more about Kurt Cobain?
I don't know. Celebrity crush, all team. He's what a babe. Got me into the Vaselines, which totally rocked, and rock. Got me into the Melvins, which Trevor also plays with acoustic and sometimes electric Melvins. I think that there's certain artists that they're so incredible, but they serve as a gateway, and then you forget how incredible they really are. So then when you return to them, you're like, wait a minute, this is actually that good. And listening to some of the lyrics on In Utero recently, just like how completely venomous he is towards a certain corner of the music industry is so incredible and inspiring, which I don't really feel because I'm actually just lucky and kind of like relatively shielded from the complete craven bullshit that most people are subject to at that point, especially if they're as huge and as used as a signpost the way he was. But yeah, for a long time, I was just like, you know, in sixth grade or whatever, also, I was just like, I love Nirvana. They're the greatest band in the world. And they are, you know, and every band that good is the greatest band in the world. What band is as good as Nirvana? The Beatles? I don't know. But so they were so good. And then, you know, you deviate and you're like, ugh, Nirvana, I've heard of them before. Like, oh my gosh, they're on the radio. Like, they're so famous. But they're actually just better than you think every time. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say. His lyrics are the best. I don't think I would have wanted to play guitar. And specifically, probably not. I would have probably not chosen the Offset from my cousin's stuff that he left behind if it wasn't for his influence. And yeah, I don't know. I think he had a big heart. I liked when he wore dresses. I can't really say much bad about him. I recently cut my hair shorter than normal, and I showed my my hairdresser, a picture of him, and she completely didn't get it. But it's nice that she's amazing. I'm not trying to badmouth her. And if she hears this, I love you, Stephanie, and I'm sorry. And I know you don't love me as much as I love you. And now you really don't. But thank you for taking my crackpot ideas and making them on my head. But yeah, he's the best. Shout out, Stephanie. I'm so embarrassed.
Last call, last question, last chance. Yes, to the back.
How did you meet David Grubbs, and can you talk about your project with him and Kramer?
I love that question, and I also was like sort of hoping you'd be like, what I miss, but that's such a better question. So I'm trying to think about where exactly I met Grubbs, but I think it was just like in and around we live really close to each other. We're like a mile away from each other in Brooklyn, and I had been a fan of Gastro del Sol since I guess like freshman year of college or maybe a little earlier. Because, I mean, if you don't know Gastro del Sol, they're an absolutely beautiful band that it's him and Jim O'Rourke and a rotating cast of other people also. But those are the main people in it. And Jim O'Rourke is a huge signpost for both mine and Mari's like high school, like how we get into weirder music type careers. So like, yeah, Gastro del Sol was really, really major. So I was always kind of starstruck. But he's always just kind of playing around New York, and he's a really kind of gentle figure, sort of a perfect angel who's done nothing wrong, as my friend Sasha called him. Are you friends with him?
Like virtually, but I've been listening to him since like Squirrel Bait.
They're incredible. Squirrel Bait totally rocks. Yeah, but so I got to know him just kind of in the community, which is insane. And then we were asked to play a show with another person in a quartet. And Kramer, it was us, like the Squanderers Trio, which is what you're asking about, and this other fella. And the trio just felt more like a complete unit. So we just ended up becoming a band because we liked improvising with each other. And I've also, being a Ween fan, I've known about Kramer forever because of the pod. And also just so many other records. If you don't, Kramer has produced an unbelievable amount of perfect artists that are associated with, I guess, the more reverberant corners of a certain kind of indie rock. And when indie rock didn't mean what it means now. I'm trying to be opaque because I'm trying to think before I speak, which is a lot of becauses. But anyway, so Kramer has been a figure that I never really thought I'd meet. And Grubbs was a figure that I never really thought I'd meet. So of course I had to take that gig. And when we became a trio, it was like a dream come true because, I mean, it's the same thing as with Trevor. It's like, and with Ryan and with Mari, whose music I liked before I knew her. I just feel like, keep hitting this, it's so bad. I just feel like unbelievably lucky to play with people I've been listening to for a lot longer than I've known them. But the Squanderers Trio, if you're curious, is, if you don't yet know it, is a partially free improvised trio. Sometimes David will bring in like a gestural kind of piece that he's written for guitar and we play with it. It's 2 guitars, me and Grubbs, and the kind of embarrassing to say but gorgeous to hear ukulele bass on Grubbs. On Kramer. And yeah, we just do these like longer form improvisations, and we have a few records, and we have another one coming out in the fall that I shouldn't say much more about, but maybe it's already announced. I'm kind of out of it. The point is, I love that band. I'm really grateful that you asked about it, and it's a really singular kind of thing in my catalog because it's the closest thing that I make to, I guess, ambient music. And it feels really amazing because when we're playing together, a lot of the times in free improvisation that's more like explicitly jazz focused, I feel like I'm solving a certain set of problems that's related to materiality of the instrument. But what Squanderers is trying to do is something a little bit more waterlogged, and like it's harder to trace who's playing what. It kind of just feels like you're creating like a web, like a watery web or something. And I don't think I would make that music on my own, which is always what I'm looking for. So yeah, I check us out. We've got a few records more on the way. I feel like I'm just rambling, but I'm really touched you asked about us. Thank you. Oh. Cool.
That's so great. Thank you for your participation. Thanks for being here on this hour. Thanks again to Tom Lee and Coastal Jazz Blues Society for making this happen at the 2026 Vancouver International Jazz Festival, which continues unabated. I will see you out there. One more time, everybody give it up for Wendy Eisenberg.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of the Rhythm Changes podcast. If you enjoyed it, become a member for free today at rhythmchanges.ca. You'll get the free weekly. Since the last time I used to record this outro at the end of every episode, we've added a second city at Rhythm Changes, which is Calgary. We have David Lavoie, very talented multi-instrumentalist and old friend of mine from university days. He is curating a gig list in Calgary, just like I have been doing in Vancouver. So anybody in both cities, if you want to follow the events that we're curating, and if you want to read, listen to, watch all kinds of Rhythm Changes content about the people, places, projects of our scene, go to rhythmchanges.ca and join us right now for free. Thanks again to Coastal Jazz and Tom Lee. I hope we get to do something like this again sometime. So I'll see you around the festival.